Hello and welcome to Pensions 10 with me, David Brooks, and my colleague Simon Kew. This week we take a look at pension scams in the mainstream, we talk about the regulators, and also have a look at international pensions.
Well, Dave, for our first story today, let's go scam heavy. There's a couple of things you wanted to pick up. What would you like to share with our listener?
Well, the first one is a bit of scams in the mainstream. So the EastEnders, the very popular BBC soap opera, which thankfully I haven't watched for many years, but I'm sure it's great. And there's a storyline that's just come through in the last week or so involving Jean Slater, who I do remember. I think she was in it when I was watching it. But she came across a pension a few weeks ago and has since been scammed out of that pension via a slick salesman selling her tech investments and higher returns because her pension has performed so poorly, in inverted commas. And she's now having to deal with the fact that that scammer has taken her entire pension pot. And with it comes the embarrassment and the shame that we often see with when people are scammed. They don't know how to tell people how that's happened and how they've been a victim of something so silly, in many ways, which is a shame. Obviously, that people feel that way, but that's a very common reaction when people have been scammed. And I think it's great the EastEnders writers are picking this up because it's something we talk about all the time in the industry amongst ourselves about how important scams are. And we try to put it into member communications on newsletters and transfer value sort of communications with members, again trying to warn them of scams, but it just does seem to keep happening that people are led to believe that they can get better for nothing or get more than what the average person can get by investing in something esoteric or a bit out there, and often ends in scams. So hopefully it gets the word out there to people that anyone can be a victim of a scam, and that also using the tactics that scams often use of pressure selling and promising great things when in fact those things aren't real. And so that's great. I think that's going to do a lot of help for getting the word out there. And in addition, I just wanted to highlight the work of the Pensions Dishonesty Unit at the Ombudsman. They've had a couple of cases very recently. So the most recent at the end of November, and they had one in October as well. So the one end of November involved another complex set of company structures and collusion of administrators and trustees to effectively swindle £5 million out of the 117 members of these pension schemes. As is often the case with the Ombudsman, they get 2 or 3 complaints about the quality of the administration. So these people are complaining about not getting statements, not getting values, finding it hard to get hold of the administrators. And then on closer inspection from the Ombudsman and the Dishonesty Unit, it turns out that these are scam arrangements. So I just want to commend the Dishonesty Unit for the work they do. I think it's brilliant that they're there at the front line. They can't give custodial sentences. They can only try to put people back in the position they were. So I do hope that there is follow-up from Action Fraud on these people. That who knows if the £5 million the Ombudsman wants to get payback will ever go back. We hope it does, but we don't know. But if there's any other actions can be taken against these trustees and administrators, and some of these people are frequent flyers. If you read these things as often as I do, you get to recognise similar people, administration firms, scheme names. Some of these were similar to a case we talked about a year ago involving a chess grandmaster, and it's a similar arrangement again that these scams are. So, and then one from a couple of weeks ago involved a director paying £9.7 million into the schemes where they've been again stealing money off people, and it is shocking to see these things written in black and white. Okay, Simon, the Pensions Regulator has this week noted they're going to change the way they're going to be operating. Can you explain what this means?
I can try. I was going to start singing Don't Go Changing, but they're not trying to please me in any way, shape or form. What they're doing, Dave, they're going to become more prudential. And our viewer and listener will rightly say, what does that mean? Very good question. Prudential, you would like to think, or you would expect it to mean it would be more rules-based rather than risk-based. Now, we know for years and years, the regulator has said it's a risk-based regulator. That enables fewer people to look at a much larger number of schemes. I think we've seen some changes at the regulator recently where they've realigned their directorates to better fit those of the FCA. Of course, Norske Delfas CEO came from the FCA, so there's no surprise that they've sort of gone down this route. It's like, I did this over here, it works, so let's bring it over here. So yeah, we'll have to see what it means for members, what it means for trustees, what it means for advisors going forward. No doubt we will get more detail from the regulator on that. Whilst I'm talking of regulators, and I mentioned dear FCA there, they've been in the spot of hot water this last week. A report published by the All-Party Parliamentary Group on Investment Fraud and Fairer Financial Services, and I will read this verbatim because I don't want to be accused of saying this myself, accuses the regulator of being opaque and unaccountable as an organisation, slow to act, and even slower to admit it has got things wrong and to change. They are incompetent at best, dishonest. So the FCA's got some work to do there to try and change the hearts and minds of the MPs, because that's a pretty damning report on them. And the regulator's got to try and convince the rest of us that they're going in the right direction. So fun times ahead for us.
Okay, Simon. So our keener viewer might notice that you're not in your usual place. You are in Prague, Czech Republic. So as our international correspondent, we have to throw to you to give us what international pensions news you've spotted recently. So give us a little roundup of your latest nuggets.
Well, thank you, Dave. And yes, you're right. I'm in Prague. I'm here for the IPE Conference and Awards. I'm presenting an award tomorrow, which is absolutely lovely. Or today, when our viewer and listener sees this, because of course we're recording this on a Monday morning. So yeah, apologies for any noise, because I'm literally sat in the terminal recording this. But there are reforms afoot in the Czech Republic around pensions, but they're quite tedious. So if you do want to look at those, viewer listener, go away and have a look at those.
Very important. Very important.
No, very important, and it will benefit people. It's all very positive, but it's a bit dry. So go and have a look at it if you're interested. The one that I really wanted to look at is what's happening in Brussels or in Belgium. Sex workers, as we that's a correct parlance, are going to be getting maternity pay. So they will actually be on contracts from their employers. They will get maternity pay. They will get pensions, they will get health insurance, and they will get sick leave as well. So it will be treated as any other job. And we know there's lots in the UK where we're sort of trying to raise money to go into investment, trying to raise taxes, trying to raise revenue generally. It is a question, really. There are plenty of countries, I think Germany, Netherlands, of course, have legalized this profession. One might say the oldest profession. It makes me wonder if it's something the government might actually consider in the UK, because of course, if they're on the payroll, they'll be paying taxes. So yeah, maybe one for a future review. Who knows, Dave? Who knows?
Well, I mean, just wanted to note as well. I think it's sometimes you see these headlines. I think it's great that pensions are in there as a sort of a basic worker right, and I just think it's great that it's recognised that people, no matter what you're doing, no matter what you know, maternity, sick leave, pension are some of the top three things that workers want, and I think that's what stood out to me when I saw that story. It was just great to see pensions in the list of top employee benefits, really. So I think that was one thing that I noted when I saw that story.
No, I agree, Dave. And at the heart of legalizing this profession is the safety of the people operating within it. And this is just the next step in allowing the people working within this industry to live normal lives outside of their role, and actually have salaries, health insurance, and, as you say, start saving for a pension. So yeah, I see it as a very positive story, Dave. Well, Dave, that's another week of Pensions in 10. We've covered a few varied stories today. Pension scams in EastEnders. Next up will be IHT in Emmerdale, or stories about marrying your mother-in-law. And yes, viewer, listener, that really was a story in the last week. And for very good reason, we didn't cover it. We don't want anyone being turned off their wheaty bangs. So thank you very much. Apologies for my setting and audio quality. I hope it hasn't deterred from your enjoyment of Pensions in 10 with me, Simon Kew, and my good chum, Dave Brooks. Please join us again next week, where we'll bring you some more fabulous pension stories.